There's this myth in the horse world that plants such as this guy right next to me, that is highly toxic, are avoided by horses. That horses somehow instinctively know not to eat toxic plants. And the reason why this myth continues to circulate so persistently in the horse community is that there is part of truth to it. In fact, a lot of these poisonous plants do not taste very good at all. Others can have a nasty smell, and others have irritating substances so that when the horse tries to chew them, it's just really unpleasant. So, yes, most of the time, most horses, as long as there's plenty of grass available, like right around me, and or hay, will try to avoid poisonous plants. But in the real world, it is also true that this is not something we can rely on because, yes, there are horses that will ingest toxic plants. And let me explain what happens. There are plenty of case studies in the veterinary literature that describe such cases. And in addition, me as a veterinarian, I have personally treated cases of horses that did this. Specifically, I remember a 3-year-old filly who had severe colic. She needed to be hospitalized, spent 3 days in hospital. She recovered there, was sent back home, and only 2 days after she had been discharged, she colicked again. Same symptoms. And so for me, that was like big red alarm bells going on that this could be toxicity. Because nobody knew what the hell was going on because everything was correct in the Phillies management. And she did have free choice access to very good quality hay. She also was fed a ration balancer. She had plenty of water available at all times. So what was going on? I did a very careful examination of the environment, and what I found out is that with the wind, some leaves from a nearby almond tree were being blowing into her pasture, and she took a liking to those leaves. She was literally scavenging for those. As soon as she saw one flying in, she would just go for it. And voila, we had the cause for her colic. So immediately, what was done is that the whole area which was affected by the leaves being blown in was fenced off with electric fence, and we never had a problem again with this. So this just shows, as a very real example, that yes, even in the presence of abundant good hay, some horses will eat stuff that is absolutely not good for them. So yes, most horses in most cases will try to avoid eating poisonous plants, but there are enough cases where horses have eaten poisonous plants and took a liking to it and for some reason or just out of curiosity. Obviously, in the case where there's not enough food available, the risk is even higher for them to do such a thing. But given the risk and what is at stake, it's absolutely not worth gambling with the idea that my horse usually doesn't touch poisonous plants, so there's nothing to worry about. So I'm right now here on a pasture that hasn't been grazed by animals for more than a decade, and I'm doing a quick swift to check what plants are there. And this is exactly what needs to be done on all horse pastures. Learn what plants are toxic to horses, find out which ones grow in your pasture. Right now, I can see here one. This is Patterson curse, very toxic, causes liver damage. And there's another toxic plant down here as well. This one as well. I will plug it very carefully to get out the root, and then I will dispose of it. Now, if you cannot pull these plants for some reason or have any other sort of control to get rid of these poisonous plants, then the second best thing to do is fence off the area so that the horses do not have access to these plants and you don't risk something nasty happening. One argument that I hear very often is that people tell me, well, but my horse has eaten this plant before and nothing happened. So it can't be that bad, right? Well, I myself have seen horses eating the flowers and even, half of the plant of this Patterson curse, which is very toxic. But nothing happened afterwards. No obvious symptoms, nothing. So does it mean that we can assume then that it was safe? Well, the question here is, are we looking at the situation in the correct way? And no, we are not. So if you want to know why, then check out my next video, click on the screen and see you there.